Hello there, world, and welcome to another episode of Answer the Internet with your favorite host with the most, me. My name is Remy K. Thane. I am a professional dominant in Southern California. I'm the CEO of Sake, which is one of the biggest POC and LGBTQIA dungeon groups out here. I'm also an alternative lifestyle educator as well as a trained artist, Kimbakushi, from the late great Master K, who is one of the few living sensei on this side of the earth. When it comes to Shibari and Kenmaku, I was his name's student. Now, for those who don't know what this channel is all about, it's basically me taking my expertise and experience and using it to educate and sometimes infotainment people on subjects when it comes to alternative lifestyle. So you may or may not see me with or without shirt, with or without pants, in any combination whatsoever, just so I can get like some likes in there. And maybe even some thumbs down. Why would you do that? I'm poor. I'm just a baby. I got no money. So this segment, Answer the Internet, is basically me taking all the questions that people post on websites and social media, whether or not it's like Reddit or Instagram or like Tumblr. I'd really age myself by saying Tumblr. Who uses Tumblr anymore? Except us 90s kids. Oof. God, we're all like closer to 40 and 50 than we've ever been. Anyways, sorry, did I hurt your feelings, my fellow 90s kids? Anyways, so for this one, for this next piece, before I go on to that, pretty much everything is my first time reaction to any questions we get, because it's more fun for you guys. You'll see how frustrated and how unrefined I am when it comes to these things that I read. So let's move on to the thing before this intro gets too long. Alright, so I'm going to read the first part of this, and it's going to be its own segment, because just like briefly looking at it, it's a pretty long thing. So that'll be its own thing. I'll read it real quick. And then after that, I'll do my reaction to it, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. Hopefully it's entertaining. Hopefully there's information you can use for yourself. I'll try not to read too fast, because who wants to sound like Ben Shapiro? And my voice is so much better and sexier, so let's do it this way. Let's read. Am I the asshole for refusing to participate in a friend's fetish? Okay, usually the answer is no. I told myself I wasn't going to interrupt myself reading this. I'll try not to, because I want to read it straight. Oh man, I'm probably going to interrupt myself. I'm 41M, have been dating my current girlfriend 28F for about 8 months. Early in the relationship, she introduced me to some friends of hers, a couple all called Fred and Ginger. Thank you for not outing them. Over time, as I got to know them, I learned that Fred and Ginger are into some pretty extreme BDSM. You're not supposed to know that. While I'm really uncomfortable with the whole scene, I don't want to judge or intrude on what consenting adults do amongst themselves. Nice guy. Also, Fred and Ginger never pushed anything on me or overshared. Okay, that's good. Occasionally, something about their lifestyle would come up in conversation. I would simply politely listen the same way I would treat any topic about which I had no knowledge or interest in. I don't know how a topic of extreme BDSM would come up, but okay. However, a little while ago, Fred and Ginger showed up to a hangout with a young, quote, college-age woman. Why is that? She was very quiet, but seemed nice when I engaged her in conversation. She usually wouldn't speak until spoken to, and gave short, vague answers to the questions, which, when I finally asked F and G who she was, they explained that she was, quote, their pet girl. When I expressed confusion, they explained, probably in too much detail, what that meant, and that she was effectively a full-time sex slave. Oh my god, I already hate Fred and Ginger. Let's keep reading. I was really creeped out, but let it go. However, over the weekend, we saw the three of them at a house party, and I was shocked. The girl was wearing an incredibly revealing outfit comprised of leather straps, and they were leading her around on a leash. Oh my god. This was at a house party where everyone else was in normal street clothes, and acting as if this was perfectly normal, it was surreal. Ugh. I'm not going to survive. For the first time, I mentioned to my girlfriend that this made me uncomfortable. In truth, I think I said, what the fuck is wrong with them? What explained, she agreed that they probably went a little too far, but that it was a private party and not in public. I still tried to be polite and, like everyone else, avoid acknowledging what was going on. However, two things happened that caused an argument. The first thing was that I tried to address the pet girl and say hello, since we had met and spoken before and I didn't want to be rude and ignore her. Fred snapped, no, don't talk to her, she's not talking, which seemed condescending and really irritating to me. The second thing occurred when Fred and Ginger were separated. Fred said he had to go to the bathroom and asked me to hold the girl's leash while he did. I refused absolutely. He asked again and I responded, possibly a bit rudely, I want no part of this. This started an argument that spun out of control where Fred and Ginger accused me of being judgmental, a bigot, quote, puritanical, among other things, while I tried to defend myself. For my part, I definitely said some unkind and regrettable things as well. He sounds nice. Unfortunately, my girlfriend found herself in the position trying to referee the situation, which I do feel badly about. Ultimately, we left. In talking on the way home, after I explained my position that I felt that I had been pressured to participate in someone else's sex life and fetish without my consent, she said that she understood, but that I should have handled the situation better. However, ever since Fred and Ginger have been blowing up her phone, saying some pretty ugly things about me. I don't want her to feel like she's caught in the middle of a stupid fight, although I acknowledge that's exactly what has happened. She's asking me to apologize to them, but I feel like that would validate what they did and said and invalidate my position. I came to Reddit because I want perspective on some neutral parties. Was I out of line here? Am I being unreasonable? Is there anything to be gained by swallowing my pride and apologizing? Am I the asshole here? Okay, I'm done reading. But let's answer the question real quick. No, you're not the asshole. Fred and Ginger are. End of story. Good God, I need to absorb this travesty that I'm reading. Okay. Let's think.
A few moments later.
Okay, now that I've collected my thoughts, let's talk about this line by line. Because this is a travesty that needs to be talked about. So flat out, Fred and Ginger are not representative of BDSM as a whole. They are terrible people, and I'm going to explain why. So, in BDSM, the first thing you are taught or should know is that you don't do anything without the full consent of everyone involved around you, or that you will be interacting with. Now, fully consented, for those who don't know, doesn't just mean a passing yes. Like, it means a fully informed yes. They know what's going to happen, and the only thing that's going to happen is the thing that you said was going to happen. Just that thing, fully informed. So when you do anything publicly, that means the public is not informed of what you're doing. They have no idea what you're doing. So they are not consenting to the act or the dynamic that you're presenting. So already Fred and Ginger are terrible people just based on this story. Now, second paragraph. There is never a time in which BDSM comes up casually. It just doesn't. BDSM is a fetish act. It is an alternative lifestyle. It is something that people can still be fired and be ostracized for if anyone knew about it. So the fact that that is still a thing means that it is not a safe topic to be brought up among anybody. The one good thing that came out of this, or from Reddit's story, is that the person who's posting is actually more ethical and more moral than Fred and Ginger, who are supposed to understand what consent is. Again, to which I'll explain later. As in the second paragraph, there's no reason for this to come up. So it already sounds like Fred and Ginger are just bringing up their lifestyle to people, just like offhandedly. You know, no one's like, oh, hey, did you see that new Netflix show? And they're like, yeah, I did. Also, let me tell you about this ball gag that I bought, for my sub. Like, nothing comes up normally. Like, it only comes up normally for people who are open about the lifestyle and have people around them who are also part of that lifestyle. For instance, me, I'm a public figure. I put my name out there. I put my face out there. That means that people who engage with me talk to me as Remy about BDSM however they would like, because I am a personality for that. If I was a private individual where like I do this privately and no one knows my name and I have a scene name and all that stuff, that means that no one should be talking to me about BDSM at all. Because you're not supposed to out anybody in any scene for no reason. So the person who posted this used a pseudonym, Fred and Ginger. They didn't use their real names. It was just very respectful, and I really appreciate that about the person who posted about this. So that's the first thing. I appreciate OP. All right, other paragraph. It says Fred and Ginger, they hang out with a young college-age woman. You don't put college age unless there's a huge age gap. It's because it would have been like Fred and Ginger hang out with someone, hang out with a girl of the same age. No, it says young, college age. So it sounds to me that Fred and Ginger, and I'm totally and completely speculating on this part, but I've seen this too many times to not like Sherlock Holmes' crap, which is Fred and Ginger are an older couple and they're exploiting a much younger person who has no experience and no knowledge in BDSM, or who is completely and emotionally vulnerable, and therefore can be exploited by predatory people. The one thing you're going to know in BDSM in that is that everyone thinks they're a goddamn dom here, and they're so fake and they suck. And there's too many predatory actors out there, and not just single actors, but couples. There are couples who are predatory, who exploit others for their own personal gain. It sucks. It happens. It's not common. It's not rare, though. It's very uncommon. It does happen. And Fred and Ginger sound like that. There is nothing to be gained as an older person by having a much younger, inexperienced, naive person in your relationship. Unless you're like training them in the most ethical, moral way possible, there's no reason to do it. And it sounds like they're not even doing that, because these people are fucking tryhards and they're terrible human beings, which I'm going to explain further down the line. Okay, anyways. She usually wouldn't speak until spoken to and gave short, vague answers. Okay, high protocol-ish, kind of medium-ish. In high protocol, you don't talk to the person being spoken to. You are only given permission to speak to a person if your dominant gives you that permission. She gave short, vague answers, so she was kind of being polite, but she didn't speak unless spoken to. Yeah, this is just stupid. This is just terrible. Like, this is all wrong. FG explained it, that was a pet girl, and then they fully explained it, and it was basically effectively a full-time sex slave. Like, again, this reeks of predatory behavior. This reeks of unicorn hunting. This reeks of a shitty predatory couple who is exploiting someone, again, no experience, or mentally and emotionally completely vulnerable. These are terrible people already. You don't make someone, especially when in a dynamic, like someone you barely met, you don't throw them into an extreme dynamic. And that extreme dynamic is slave, like a slave dynamic, master-slave dynamic. It is very, very extreme. It is TPE, total power exchange. You don't do that casually. So the fact that, he barely met this person, he barely met the couple, and the couple barely met this college person, and then immediately goes into like this, like, quote, slave position, is already problematic, to say the least. So, yeah. No, Fred and Ginger suck. They completely suck. I hate them. I hope they don't last long in the scene. I hope they get ostracized from their scene. This is terrible. I was really creeped out. Let it go. The girl was wearing an incredibly revealing outfit comprised of leather straps, leading around on a leash. Yeah, no, you don't do that at a normal house party. Again, this is where the try hard part comes out. People who do these outlandish acts for others have something to prove, because they don't know what they're doing, and they want to act so edgy and cool to like shock others because they want to prove something for themselves. It's not even for other like people. It's just this weird like ego-driven, not getting enough attention, personality type where, the personality type is being a Karen. This is Karen behavior. This is people who make their business other people's business. It is the most annoying kind of person you can be out there. And this is what Fred and Ginger are. They're like, we're so cool and extreme, and we're so BDSM, and you guys aren't going to understand. We're going to just shove it in your faces without your consent, and you're going to have to deal with it. Like, that's a fucking HOA. That is Karen. That is people who, those are douchebags. Those are tryhards. These are people with a middle school mentality, not even high school. These are people who have not matured, who don't have any kind of etiquette, who don't have any kind of decorum, like, at all. They're trying to prove something to people who don't care. It is so insecure. It is the most insecure thing I've ever heard in my life. People who do that shit annoy me, who want to act extreme and, it's just who we are. Like, give me a break. Like, the mentality of a child. That is what this is. Yeah, don't do that. Now, are there ways to have a high protocol or a dynamic in public? Of course there are. I do that shit all the time. It's so much fun. The difference is that when you are a tryhard like Fred and Ginger are, you are performing for other people, for your own insecurities. Like, that's it. When you are in a positive, healthy dynamic between a dominant and a sub, or however many relationships you're in, what you're doing in public when it comes to your dynamic is subtle and it's private and it's just for whoever's in that relationship. It's just for them. And then there's a third option. There's one where it is, excuse me, no, there's not a third option. I'll explain why in a second. So first one, very insecure. It's for everyone else because those people suck. The second one, when I am out in public with my wonderful paramour, I have expectations on how I am served. And they do it exactly how I tell them to do it. And it makes me very proud because that is how I train them to be. There are dynamics as a dominant that I do for my sub. And it makes her proud of me because I am doing the dynamic that we agree to in public, subtly. And it's those little things that add up that make her very happy and make me very happy. And there are other things, there are other like traditions, there's other actions, there's other ceremonies that we do in public that no one knows about, that no one really sees or understands. But it's just for us, and it makes us happy, and it's beautiful. There's the fun one that you often see in websites that I can't name because they don't sponsor me. And if they did, it would be wearing their shirts. And that is, wearing a toy underneath clothes. Someone's like, oh, God, is my cell phone ringing? Like, oh, no. Kind of like that stuff. Or that was not my O face. My O face is very different. Or, rope underneath a blouse. That is for the dynamic. No one else sees it. It's just for them and their fun. So there's ways to do it that are ethical and cool and fun. And you still get that thing. So let's keep moving on. Perfectly normal. When explained, she agrees probably a little too far. Private. Yeah. They went too far. Okay. I'm glad everyone's being polite. I appreciate it. However, two things happened in an argument. First thing was try to... Pet girl had met. No, don't talk to her. She's not for talking. Okay, Fred's a moron. This is what I mean by tryhards. They expect everyone else to understand them and to understand their rules and their guides without telling anyone. This is unconsensual. No one knows what high protocol is or even what medium or low protocol is or protocol at all or BDSM at all. And Fred is expecting this random person that he kind of knows, barely met, to understand that. The answer is no. It is... Again, this is Karen attitude. This should have been Karen and Karen. So Fred sucks. You don't expect a vanilla public to understand what protocol is. And the fact that he's being all snappy and shit. I would be irritated too. Even if this happened in a BDSM facility, I would be irritated. Because if I met someone before, we are already friendly. We're in a club, a BDSM club. And I'm talking to someone. Or I see someone familiar. I'm going to say hello. And then their dom snaps at me. You'd be like, listen, bitch. Like, we already met before. I don't know what your protocols are. We were friendly to begin with. You have to tell me that so that I can respect your protocol. That's normal etiquette. So the fact that and this is not even in a BDSM scene. This is like a vanilla party. So like, fuck Fred. Fred is an idiot. He needed to use the restroom. He asked this vanilla person to hold a leash, and he refused. And he said, no, I'm part of that. Oh, the original poster is more of an ethical BDSM person than anyone in that goddamn story. He did not out anyone. He stated his boundaries. He did not want to participate in someone else's fetish. That's a good thing. Everyone, if you don't want to participate in someone else's fetish, just say no and don't participate. You're not being a prude. And the fact that OP first got mad at him for not understanding what protocol was, and then got mad at him for not wanting to hold the leash, he's out of protocol. Like, no one... Oh my God, this makes me so fucking mad. When I'm in high protocol, and I have a leashed partner, no one holds that leash except me. That leash is our bond. No one gets to mess with that bond except fucking nobody. Just me. Like, it's just me. That is our bond. No one else holds it. It's very special. I don't allow it. So the fact that this person is like casually just throwing this bond around, this slave around, like as if she means nothing, which she probably means nothing to Fred and Ginger, it shows a complete lack of respect and just complete lack of respect for the third person. This is terrible. No one, even if you are in a committed TPE slash like master slave relationship, you should not be treated like a throwaway object so publicly like that with vanilla people. Okay, now could you do that in a BDSM alternative lifestyle like club? Yeah, because everyone should know and usually does know how that works, and that is the space for that. Unless this person agreed to like being thrown around like that and just being disregarded, whatever, man. Like Fred and Ginger sound terrible people. Like you don't do that. This is an argument, under control, accused me of being judgmental, big, and puritanical. Fred and Ginger, they're Karens. They're defensive Karens, and all they're doing is trying to blame everyone else for not doing what they want them to do. Fucking assholes. No. For my part, I definitely said some unkind and regrettable things as well. No, you didn't. You said what you wanted to feel, and you were right, because you're right. Your girlfriend should get new friends. Your girlfriend should not be friends with these people. They're terrible people. The fact that they're like texting her about how bad she is and not reflecting on like what they could have done better, or if they're the asshole, just shows how much of a piece of shit dumbasses they are. Fred and Ginger suck. OP, I hope you're reading this. Tell your girlfriend, get new friends. Those are not good BDSM people. They're not good friends to begin with. No, absolutely not. Yeah, he felt like he was being pressured, like into someone else's fetish without his consent. He handled it well. No, he handled it exactly the way you're supposed to. Sorry, like, fuck Fred and Ginger. Fred and Ginger sound like a bunch of childish old people who have no idea what BDSM actually is about, or at least ethically. They have no standard, they have no morals, they should not be in any kind of dynamic relationship with others, and they should definitely not be considered representative of anyone in the scene, at least anyone who actually cares about, like, other people and what consent is. Yeah, don't apologize, man. Don't apologize. Don't. Those people suck. You don't. Never apologize, man. Not for those people. All right. That is my whole, like, spiel on it. What is it, like 16 minutes? I try to keep these videos short, between 10 and, like, 20. Or, excuse me, 10 and 15. This part can be, like, a little over 20. Woof, God, I'm so pissed. This has me really pissed. I'm so mad at these people. And the thing is like, these people are everywhere, man. They're in New York. They're in Florida. They're in California. They're everywhere, man. There are tryhards everywhere. And it's not exclusively like a white American thing. Like, there are tryhards in Asia. There are tryhards in Europe. There are tryhards in Africa. There are tryhards everywhere, man. And tryhards are not the people that are representative of BDSM as a whole. Tryhards are egotistical, insecure, low self-esteem, low self-efficacy people who are the loudest because they just, like, they have something to prove and no one cares, so they try to be really loud about it so people end up caring, and because they want to be confrontational about stuff. Like, I hate tryhards in the BDSM scene. There's a lot of them. So if you're getting into the scene, or excuse me, if you're in a vanilla setting and you are approached or been given information by some rando, you know, who's in the scene, they are a tryhard. Like, there's a time and place for these things. There are clubs, there are parades, there's events and parties that are alternative lifestyle based where you should be and could be doing that, and are consenting to that act, or at least consenting to seeing acts like that. And that's the important point of this. Like, people are consenting to that. When I go to a nightclub, I am consenting to loud goddamn music and laser light shows. I am consenting to that. When I go to a BDSM club, I am consenting to seeing BDSM acts and dynamics that I may not agree with, but I'm there for that. When I go to someone else's house, I'm consenting to whatever the hell they do in their own home. That is their home. Like, I don't touch anything. I don't do anything. That is their home. Whatever. Yeah, just these are terrible people. Like, it's funny. Like, I say tryhards, and already in my brain came up like 10 people that I do not fucking like in this scene. They are tryhards, and they lie. Oh, and that's another thing too. Tryhards lie a lot, and it's usually in a position so that they can make themselves look better or look good when the facts are completely against them. But that goes with any douchebag, you know. All right, this video has gone too long, on too long enough. All right, thank you for watching. I hope you got something out of this. Remember, if you are vanilla, you don't have to participate in anyone's like fetish. If you're vanilla in a vanilla setting, you don't have to participate in anyone's like fetish act or anything like that. So, I mean, there was other things I said. I hope you got something out of this. All right, everyone, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. You've all been amazing. I have my links all on the bottom. You guys have a sweet day. Have a consenting day. I hope everyone, whatever you engage with anyone, I hope it's done with everyone's consent. Consent is the key word every day, all day, anytime.